Alrighty guys, Furtado here with Herman. Like your hat. Oh, thanks. Excellent. So today we're going to be talking about the appendicular skeleton. Now we're going to break this up into two separate days because your appendicular skeleton has more bones than your axial skeleton did. It has 126 bones, okay? Your appendicular skeleton is dealing with your appendages and their connection or attachment points to the axial skeleton, which is in the axis. So now we're going to be talking about things like your pectoral girdle, which is your shoulder region, and your pelvic girdle, which is your hip region, and then your arms and your legs. Today we're going to cover pelvic girdle and pectoral girdle, and we're going to cover long bones of appendages. We are not going to be talking about the hands and the feet yet. Oh, dislocated his shoulder. Let's use this one. We're not going to be talking about the hands and the feet yet because your hands each have 25 bones and your feet also do. So there's a lot of bones in these. So we're going to talk about the hands and the feet of the appendicular skeleton tomorrow in class. We're going to do a special drawing and labeling together. So today is a fairly short lesson. Actually, today and tomorrow are both fairly short. So they'll get a little bit more later on this week. So let's start talking about the appendicular skeleton by talking about the pectoral girdle. The pectoral girdle, if you can guess, because of your knowing where your pectoral muscles are, that would be around your chest region. Now, pectoral girdle, not all of them go all the way around, and that's what happens with your shoulder, as you can see. However, it does include the clavicle and the scapula. So clavicle is your collarbone, that's what we commonly call it. And then your scapula is your shoulder blade. So here you can see a scapula. I only have one here with me. You can also see, if I turn Herman here, here is his scapula. And we call this our shoulder blade, one because it's similar to, or it's part of our shoulder, but also the blade part, because if you look at this, that's pretty blade-like, almost like a fin on a fish. So it's pretty much looking like a blade. So we have this called the shoulder blade. The other part of our pectoral girdle is our clavicle. All right, this little S-shaped bone. Now, your clavicle, move some more bones around here. Your clavicle has two ends to it, okay? Your clavicle has this kind of flatter end. If you look at it this way, it kind of has a flatter end of the S, and it's going to also have this kind of stubbier and shorter, a little bit fatter. If you look at it this way, you can see that it's a little thicker up there. So when we talk about that, this end is called the acromial end. So the flatter end is called the acromial end, and this end is called the sternal end. Well, knowing what you have already learned from the axial skeleton, the word sternal, and because of Unit 1 about the regions, should stand out to you. So this end of the clavicle is going to face your sternum. That's why it's called the sternal end, okay? This is called the acromion end because it is going to face the portion of your scapula called the acromion process. So remember, we have processes which are points of attachment that we've been talking about. So you have an acromion end and you have your acromion process, which is this one up here. So I'm not sure if you can see it on Herman here, but I'm going to show you. So that means that the end of your shoulder, of your clavicle, and then your shoulder blade, they would actually connect like this. Oops, like this. So this is a right clavicle and a right shoulder blade. It would rest kind of back here on me, and then like this, but it would be out here further, okay? So you have this S-shaped clavicle bone right here, sternal end, acromial end, towards your sternum, towards your acromion. This is your acromion process. It's like the top portion here, okay? And that is where that is going to attach. This process on your scapula is called the coracoid process. That's going to be more important when we get to articulations and to ligaments. That's important for ligament attachment. So that's when we'll be talking about that process. But this process right here is going to be your acromion process. So let me grab Herman and bring him a little bit closer. Hopefully without me, I should probably learn to bring the camera to him. So You can see here is his acromion process. Here is his clavicle, and it attaches at the top of his sternum. Okay. Now, the other thing that is a part of this region, upper limb region of your body, that plays a role with your scapula is your humerus. Okay. Your humerus. So this is the ball of the humerus, or the head of the humerus that we talked about. You have your two fossas here and here, okay? And this ball is actually going to sit right into the, it's going to sit right into the socket that is formed by this portion of your scapula and your clavicle, okay? So in this case, and this one is fairly crooked. There we go. This scapula, it would connect right like so. So it does fit right in there so that you can turn it back and forth. So this is your humerus, all right? And your humerus, what's interesting about your humerus is we like to say, or you've probably heard of the phrase, you hit your elbow and someone says, oh, my funny bone. Well, we say, oh, my funny bone, because this is called our humerus, but you don't actually hit your humerus at all when you hit your funny bone. What you hit is you hit your ulna, okay? This is your ulna. Now, when I ask you to identify the ulna, I will actually hold it up like this. And so what gives it away is this U. So that's how you're going to know when I say, what is this bone? Because I am going to hold them up, some of them, for your identification quiz, okay? Right here is the U, so this is your ulna. This is your humerus, okay? And your olecranon process fits into your olecranon fossa. So when you actually hit your funny bone, that nerve that you're hitting is actually in this region of the bone, not on the humerus, because this is how your elbow works, okay? So that is your humerus. We've moved on to your ulna, okay? Your ulna, I'm gonna get rid of some of these bones because they take up a lot of space on my desk. Here's your ulna. Here's your radius. Now, the radius, the way you can remember this one is, if you look at the end, it's a circle. A circle has a radius, okay? Now, in terms of the anatomical location of these two, it's important that you remember that the radius is on the side of your arm with your thumb. So my radius would be on this side, okay? And we talked about this process being out here. So I remember that because when you give someone a thumbs up, it means that something is totally rad, dude. So rad, radius, thumb. So then your ulna is on your pinky side, and we know that this U is towards our elbow, so that means this one would fit over here. So this is why you have that little process poking out right there, okay? So your ulna is gonna be on the pinky side of your hand. So your ulna and your radius of your right arm would hang out like this. Oop. Hang on. Whoops. There we go. Oop. There we go. Ha. Like so. Radius on outside, ulna on the inside. Radius on the outside. This is actually a left ulna and a left radius. They would sit like that right there. Okay? So make sure you can identify your ulna, and I'll show you the U and your radius, and when I identify them, I will show you the circle. So those cover the arm bones. Next, we're going to move on to the leg bones, which is going to include the pelvic girdle. The pelvic girdle is made up of two coxal bones, coxal bone, and they come together right here, like so, with cartilage that makes up the pubic symphysis. The pubic symphysis is going to be the cartilage that holds these together, that allows them some wiggle room. They are not fused together as one. When we talk about the coxal bones, which Herman's aren't as easy for me to reference. When we talk about the coxal bones, there's a couple important parts of these. First is this large socket right here. So talking about bones that have a head to them, ball and socket. Here's your femur, remember, largest bone in the body. That fits right into this socket. This is the tightest ball and socket of the ball and socket joints. And so your legs can move like so in the hip region. This you need to identify and know as the acetabulum. 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 And so that's there like that. The rest of this, we actually talked about this narrow ridge up here as being the iliac crest, okay? This whole fan is the ilium. This is the pubic region, okay? And this back portion here is the ischium, So you have the ilium, the ischium, and the pubic region. And those will also be important when we talk about how your coxal joints work and how your hips and your femur and your coxal bones work together so you can walk. So that's these. Next, here we have the femur, okay? This is a right femur, all right? Something you'll need to be able to, you'll need to work on and be able to identify is some of the bones as they are left or right. This is a right one, okay? Because this patellar surface where the patella sits, here's your patella. This patellar surface where the patella sits goes right like so. So that means this is the front of the bone. This is the anterior portion of the bone. And we know that this has to point in to our hip, into our coxal bone. So it would have to be a right femur because it would have to fit on this side. So this is a right femur, all according to where the head of the femur or the ball for the ball and socket joint goes. So here you have, as I mentioned, your patellar surface. Your patella would sit right here. Your tibia and your fibula are the other two bones of your leg. Here's your tibia. Remember we talked about the tibial tuberosity. This is the superior portion of the tibia, kind of looks like a T, okay? This is the inferior portion of the tibia. This is your medial malleolus. So again, this is a bone you should be able to figure the right and left out of, because if this is the medial malleolus, it must go on the inside, which means this has to be a left tibia. So the inside bone of your leg is the tibia. The outside bone of your lower leg is the fibula, and they would fit together like so. So you can see they actually fit in, there's a little notch right in there for the fibula to sit down inside right next to the tibia. So you have your fibula and your tibia, and then your femur would attach right here. Now there would be, we'll talk about the different meniscus and the bursa that are in here and the all the different ligaments as well, but that's how those bones would be in relation to one another. What we're going to do tomorrow is talk about the ankle bones, the tarsals that sit right here at the base of the tibia and the fibula, and then all of the toe bones. And then we will also talk about at the end of the radius and the ulna, how the wrist and all the hand bones attach. So that's the first half of the appendicular skeleton. Down at the bottom of our Schoology page for this week, I have put a PowerPoint that has pictures of these appendicular skeleton bones that we're going to be talking about. And things are labeled in there as well, so you don't have to worry about drawing these or anything like that. But you do want to reference that. And I also put more and extra pictures of the axial skeleton in there for you as well. So Herman and I are going to head out, and we will see you tomorrow to draw and diagram the bones of the hand and the foot. See you guys. Have a good one.